Kerdos Insights Ep.10. So we got into double figures. So we are here. Very special guest. So we've got Adam Weeks here. I'd like to obviously navigate the conversation as I normally do, but I think it'd be great, Adam, if you could briefly introduce yourself so that people know you and your expertise and why you're going to bring so much value today.
That's a big intro to follow on from. So my name is Adam Weeks. I currently work for a company called Bigtincan. They're a sales enablement company. I've been in SaaS sales for almost 10 years now. But prior to that, I was actually in the British Army for 7 years. It's a bit of a difference from one extreme to the other. Just selling into marketing departments, sales leaders, marketing leaders, that sort of thing. And once upon a time, IT decision makers. So, been across all the functions almost, you could say.
Depth of knowledge. So, I wanted to ask you initially. So, obviously, being regional sales manager, I think it is for Bigtincan, and we're talking today about technology and how it helps alignment between sales and marketing. From your perspective as a sales leader, what frustrations have you had in the past between sales and marketing not being aligned?
Where do you want to start? There's been plenty, but I think for most people thinking like in the roles that I've been in before is you get told that we've got all this content that's available for you to use, and it's like, well, where is it? And how do I know that's the right type of content to use for that sales scenario? It could be the right one, but no one's telling me that, and I don't have any analytics to back that up, that is the right type of content you should use to help facilitate that conversation. So you end up just guessing, and well, that's the worst thing you can do, right? So I think that in itself has been a huge problem in the past for me. As a seller, as somebody who's moved into management roles, it's like, how do I know what my team is using, and is it actually helping facilitate the buyer's journey or hindering it is another issue as well. So I think not having sort of the visibility on what marketing are doing and helping the sales team, is you then go against marketing saying, oh, you're not doing this, and they're like, well, we are, it's over here, and there's that clash all the time, right? So
absolutely. And I echo that.
Yeah, because we've spoken, Joe, before about sales and marketing not being aligned, but we've not dived into specifically where technology helps. So I mean, from like an overall point of view, where does technology come into that to assist?
Well, technology can help in many different ways. Like, for example, tracking the engagement on content, not just from a prospect's perspective, but the actual sales rep or the account manager or the partner that you have in your channel network to help you sell. So if you don't understand that what's being used, then you need to go and find technology that will help you do that. Sales enablement, by the way. But that type of technology will end up giving you the insights that you need that will help all different job functions across the business. It's not just the salespeople. Like, we could be here for all day because there's more than one job function that sees a benefit. And what I seen today in the meeting I had was just blown my mind, that the analytics you can get from these type of things. So
elaborate.
What specifically?
Well, just like, for example, with the technology, the way it's advancing now is that you can actually start to see ROI off the back of not just a PDF, but the one specific page in the PDF. So if there's a lot of prospects that are spending, for example, we have like this leverage your ecosystem slide. Well, we can see how many people are visiting that slide, how long they spent on it. Is that helping facilitate conversations outside of my world? And is that having conversations inside of the business? So I can see all of that, but I can also see what my team are using. So then I can transfer that knowledge to a new hire that comes on board. So there's so many different ways that you can use the analytics and the technology through sales enablement. It is literally transformational if you get it right in a business.
Why are people not doing it then?
Because they're afraid of change. They know what they know. They use SharePoint. And SharePoint is like, wow, it's great for a dump in content. But if it's not set up correctly, and 9 times out of 10 it's not, it's just a massive bunch of folders that just sit there doing nothing, You don't know where things are.
If you think about the businesses that have massive amounts of products in their portfolio, for example, it is impossible to remember all of the content that links to all of the products and how it helps that client in that area. Let's use Honeywell as an example. Their portfolio of products is probably well in the thousands. Now, if you got a technical sales rep on the road who has a relatable problem, but then you had a piece of technology that allowed them to search for that problem, and it showed all of the content, but not only that, the most effective content that marketing has managed to see that visibility that has helped convert, then you're going to distribute that particular content, right? And then it also helps marketing then build more content similar to that piece of content, but different. It enables them to grow stronger and make sure they're distributing the right content that ends up then converting. So, Honeywell's just probably one example of a company. There'll probably be loads. Yeah,
100%. And to give some examples, Adam, in one of your recent posts, just to reel off a couple of stats, which I think would be great for everyone to understand. So you say sales and marketing alignment can help your company become 67% better at closing deals. You go on to say 76% of content marketers forget about sales enablement in their marketing efforts. And there's an additional stat as well. But I wanted to ask you, how long did it take you to access those statistics?
Moving into a sales enablement company is very easy for me to be able to find that info because it's promoted to me all the time. If you don't access, we'll put it this way, imagine you're a seller right now today, or you're a marketer today, you've just joined a company and they go, right, you've done your onboarding, now off you go. It's like, what do you mean off I go? What content do I use? I got this overview deck that has been 3 versions behind. Well, when I first joined Bigtincan, what I was able to do was actually go and see what the top sellers were using. So it's like, wow, okay, well, that guy's closing those deals. What content is he using? So the system's telling me that. So I'm educating myself, onboarding myself a lot faster. But then the system's actually recommending me content, saying, hey, Adam, you're in the sales role. You haven't seen this use case before. Oh, and did you know that there's these statistics that are coming out from Gartner, G2, HubSpot, that this is what you've experienced in the past. And it's like, yeah, I did experience that in the past. Like 65% of sales content goes unused. Marketing didn't think everybody's using it. Unfortunately, Gartner say that they're not.
And can you imagine salespeople having that visibility, but not only that, marketing having that visibility to then create similar content. And like Adam said, the first thing he did was to look at who the top salespeople are and what they're doing. And we do that quite in a manual way in the past. For us, we went and shadowed the top sales guy.
You take him out for a coffee. What are you doing? Oh, yeah, I do this. That gives no benefit to anybody because that's them and how they do it, right? But you can replicate that if you document it. But just doing it over a coffee or listening to someone's call isn't helping whatsoever. It's 100%. The bits in the middle.
And this is why we're here talking about it, because people need to know about this. And again, we do these to share this insight. And in a lot of companies may even turn their nose up at it because of the affordability. But there are other ways you can do it from a cadence perspective with lower cost platforms. And then when you reach that stage where you can afford it and you want something even more advanced and provides the insight that these smaller pieces of technology can't, you can then look at that.
Adam, you referenced when you first started, which I think was roughly 2 years, 8 months since you started at Bigtincan. Obviously a lot's changed in that time period. How would you say the problem has evolved? Has it got better or worse in that time period?
I think it's got worse because of remote working, right? So people have had to open up maybe platforms they didn't want to in the past for remote working, and you're on your own in your bedroom or your office or whatever you've got, maybe an outdoor office if you're rich enough. But
you got one?
No, I sit in my car 9 times out of 10. But it's like you're on your own. Like, it's got worse because you can't sit next to somebody and go, oh, hey, where's that piece of where's that content? Or I'll drop it on Slack, but 10 minutes later, like, you're not going to get the answer. So if anything, it's made it harder for people to onboard themselves, get up to speed with what's working, what's not working, especially if you're using something like Confluence or Google Drive or SharePoint, for example. I think with you being at that time when we were all locked down, couldn't get out to see anybody, it made it a lot harder for you to understand what I should use. But when we've seen people start to embed different types of technology like sales enablement, it's just it's almost like took the lid off and gone, wow, look at all of this. And it's been so helpful. And hearing customers like, you know, telling you that this has helped me so much, especially the salespeople, you know, it's been, it just makes the job a little bit more.
I wonder how many people actually realize that it's the technology is doing is aligning. I wonder how many people actually realize that rather than just feeding their pocket, I guess, more money.
Yeah, I think it's the bigger picture as well, actually, because it's just sparked a thought. Like, probably about 18 months ago, I joined a business completely remotely. I never met anyone within the business. And I was there for, I'll be completely honest, before going and doing my own thing with what we're doing today, I was there for 4 months. And I'm wondering how much this would have helped when I came into the business, because it was always very much like I was on Slack, like you referenced, like, oh, do you have anything that's relevant to this? I've got this scenario with this meeting and stuff like that. And everything just felt a bit disjointed. So, yeah, I'm just wondering how much that would have helped.
We used to do it at MM. Like, what experience do we have in... And then wait 10 hours for someone to come back to us.
Or the Excel spreadsheet.
And that was like dated back 15 years, which is useless information. And it didn't even have statistics or anything. And actually, can you imagine if we spoke to marketing once or twice and said, we could do with something that can help us find this insight and information rather than it was just basically a shared Word file, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember that you'd have to send an email to like sales app. I'm speaking to this medical device company. You know, do we have any medical device customers? And has anybody got a presentation on why we can work with medical device companies? And you just get nothing back. So you're like, okay, well, I'll make this up myself. And then that's when it completely collapses. The marketing team have no idea that you're doing that. It could be completely wrong. You could even be using a logo you shouldn't be using. I've been there. I got told off big time for doing that. So it's just, but you're right, there are so many people out there that just don't understand the power of this industry, and it's just growing. Like there is more and more people coming into it. There's more and more people understanding that it is starting to help us rather than hinder us. It's like, you know, website tracking. Back in the day, it was like, ooh, I'm not touching that. Now everyone has it.
Great technology.
Exactly.
I was thinking about this subject earlier when I was doing my research, and I was thinking about back to like market makers days or whatever, and obviously there's the big emphasis on disc profiling different types of people, and I was thinking how much of that breakdown and communication between marketing and sales is to do with the fact that if you're really stereotypical, you're going to say, look, marketing, they're all influencers, they like big drawings, they like big graphics, stuff like this, and then salespeople, they're very direct and stuff like that. And I was thinking, how much does that have to play with the breakdown of communication? And then it begged the question, how much more important does that make technology? Because then you don't actually have to communicate. The technology does it for you.
It's called logic now, isn't it? Like, I think, you know, if you bring the intelligence into it, and rather than going, oh, that guy's a high I, so I need to pitch him like this. Well, actually, no, stats don't lie. If someone sees stats and you've got access to them statistics, it's fact. It works. It converts. And it's almost questioning whether this profiling is even relevant anymore.
Yeah, one of the
other subject maybe.
Now you're eliminating an entire industry now.
I feel like I'm burning Steve Cass, and if you ever watch this, I'm not, because it worked at its time for us. But wonder if technology is playing a massive part in it now. So.
Well, if you can, I think it almost becomes obsolete in some areas. Obviously, you've always got to judge the room, right, with who you're speaking to. But if, for example, there's a customer that I have that's doing lookalikes. So it's running through its CRM data, saying what content was sent to that prospect at each sales cycle, each sales stage, should I say, and going, right, okay, what other lookalike companies and job roles can we target with the same content? And they're pipeline generation has just exploded because they're using the same messaging, the same type of content, to the same type of relevant people through all of their SDRs and their AEs, and they're just having better and more informed conversations. And they're only able to do that because of the data and the analytics that's being tracked through a system like what Bigtincan has.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, you say the stats make it irrelevant, Joe, and to read out another stat which you kindly sent over. So you were saying the average B2B marketing team spends 10 spends 14,000 hours a year, or equivalent of 155 entire days creating collateral, but 85% of that collateral is never used. You're a CEO. If I'm a salesperson, I'm telling you that, and I'm saying, look, sales enablement can change that.
Yep.
What are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I might need a loan, but for Bigtincan at the moment. But yes, absolutely. Look, as a CEO, you have to do things in the stages. Certainly at our stage of life that we've been running, but it's there in the plan. And if you know about it and you know the impact of it, and you get to a point where it's then, okay, this now aligns with our budgets, then we're going to do it.
But how angry would that make you, knowing that, so you're obviously paying your marketing team X amount, and essentially 85% of what they're doing is being made worthless?
No, for us it's different because we understand the value in the content. So we actually have, which we never had, marketing and sales, new business team, even our SDRs meet, who represent Kerdos, and we run through the next 2 weeks of content and what it answers in terms of pain point, what it can do for the industry types that we're speaking to, how they can distribute it, and then we also reveal 5 pain points that we are addressing over that 2 weeks. So if one of our team hears that pain point, that they will have it on their notes on their screen, that will tell them the 5 pain points that we can tag them in that particular post. So you'll now start to notice that Mikey, who represents us from an SDR perspective and sales, actually, Malcolm and myself obviously sit a lot of the meetings still. But you'll notice that we start to either share that content with them after that call, or even whilst we're on the call, and maybe even tag them and say, hey, Jeff, this was what I was referring to. And that communication is our alignment within our affordability right now. But it's because I care and I understand it. But there are a lot of companies who can afford that technology, but aren't aware of the benefits of it. And I mean, I'm talking about companies that have been running for 10 years who have a piece of technology, have only just starting to become aligned with their marketing team. Well, I've been doing it since day dot. So my team's already aligned, but I have a manual process at the moment, which we slightly automate. Don't get me wrong, there are some automation in there to control that alignment and help with that I guess reducing the productivity side of things. But until we can afford a technology like Bigtincan, obviously we need to do it from a slightly more manual perspective. But that statistic wouldn't reflect me at all, because I care about it. I understand the importance of it, and that's why I've invited Adam on to talk about how technology can really reduce that statistic.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And actually, it's a good point because, Adam, let's say you have a business, you sit down with them, and they just can't afford the solution. A little bit similar to what Joe's just explained with his process. What would be your honest recommendation for them to get the best out of their alignment without potentially investing?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to grow and there is content everywhere, then there just unfortunately needs to be that bit more manual process in place, and having sort of marketing involved as heavily as possible without getting in the way of the sales team. But I think it will get to a point where technology will become available to companies of all shapes and sizes at some point. But if you're really struggling right now to really understand, it's just a case of, I think, just slowing down the content creation, taking a step back and thinking, well, what have we got right now? When was the last time that was sent out to somebody? Are we putting it through HubSpot, or are we putting it through this type of platform? When did that last time that go out? And just taking check of like what is actually being used and what's not. And let's say, for example, I spoke to a company pretty much that was this morning. There's only 3 of them, financial services company. And it was like, to be honest with you, go through your content and say, if I deleted that today, would I miss it tomorrow? And if you wouldn't miss it tomorrow, then why have you got it?
Yeah, I mean, I do this with Alex. Yeah. So we have a session once a quarter where she would have already identified and prepared irrelevant content, and she would almost put it on the screen and go, "Do you guys use this? Ask why not. Delete. Do we use this? Yes. Okay, I'm going to create a new version of it that can speak to the audience in a different way. Change the language. Great. On to the next." So, like Adam says, there's a way technology can cut that even down a little bit more. But again, for a company of our size, that manual side of things, again, we're important. But for companies out there who might be watching it, who can't afford Bigtincan, but they need to process these little things and tips that we're giving now, could help you just get to that stage one day.
Yeah.
I think that's a great piece of advice, but again, I'm kind of putting like a business owner's hat on it. It's like how hard is it to delete content that potentially you've spent weeks, months on, and you just say, look, if you can't use it today, just get rid of it. How hard is that?
There's not a lot of the weeks and days content. I would say that a lot of the content, for example, we had a statistic from one of our clients. We then interviewed that client. We had 5 questions with that client, transformed it into PDF. Less than 4 hours when you time it. That's brilliant because that's a reference. Then if you've got industry-specific content, or maybe answering the pain point, because a lot of people who we're targeting, manufacturing, engineering industry, they're talking a lot about the fact that government have said, cut down your costs. A lot of our content over the next 2 weeks is going to be rinsing the government for that. And really kind of telling them, people, as to why they shouldn't, but in a way that they can understand the benefits of continuing to do that, regardless of whether it's with us or not. We don't really talk about us and our content. We talk about why they shouldn't and what they should focus in. We don't do digital marketing for our clients. But some of our content recently has been about that because it's relevant to answering people's pain points, and it's providing free knowledge and insight. That's what our content's all about. It's a bit different for other companies who are selling products. I get that. Or maybe even a SaaS product. But for us in particular, it's never weeks on our content. Rarely.
I think as well, it's just taking an idea of what content was being used across the last 10 sales.
Absolutely.
And then saying, okay, well, this content has helped close that particular business as a new customer. What other lookalikes can we find using the same piece of content? And that's what I was referring to earlier, where that customer of mine is doing exactly that, but they know the content and they've got analytics and data, so they can pull it up straight away. Well, there's a bit more manual process, but it will save you hours and possibly a lot of money if instead of going out and going, need to redo that, let's just get rid of it. Well, actually, you can quite easily use that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
If you're going after all of their competitors, for example.
Yeah.
It's something that, if I started a company tomorrow, you would need to start taking check of that and start using that across lookalike companies. It's really important.
Yeah.
Super important. And I asked you, Adam, say if I was a small business and I didn't have the budget to put into it. Let's say I'm your ideal customer right now. I've got the budget and you're selling to me. Why should I invest in Bigtincan? Why should you invest in
Bigtincan? Good question. And you put me on the spot there. I'm only joking. No. What is the pain that you're trying to overcome? Is it a case of you're trying to empower your sales reps with better content in front of prospects to help close deals quicker? Brilliant. Well, it can do that. Are you trying to understand what content is being consumed by the sales reps? So you can make more of that and make it better? There's another benefit why you should. Actually, are we missing content? So we all talk about we need to create more and more and more content for all these different sales scenarios, but you actually are missing content. So, for example, we ran in the analytics in the back end of our solution. A company in the US is missing roughly around $14 million worth of content, because that's pipeline they've got in their CRM that has no aligned content to that amount of pipeline.
Never thought about it that way.
So if you can imagine, oh yeah, we have all the content in the world. I hear all the time, we have all the content. It's all structured in SharePoint. That's great. But you actually might be missing content that could have gone and closed that $1 million deal that your competitor has.
How does it do that? So, because obviously this is new to me.
Yeah, so it's all about, so the CRM data that's being pulled, and so all the data that's being pulled from the CRM, it gets loaded into the back end of our analytics machine. And it literally tracks all the content that's being sent to those particular prospects and at what sales stage the prospects are at. So if it goes through another sales stage, this is some other content. And what will happen is that it knows what content it's been told by the marketing team. This is what we've got. But then if there's another opportunity in an industry and there's no content that's been aligned with that industry or that business size because it's taken the field information from the CRM, well, then there's nothing there. So if I go on to a discovery call, or I'm going into, I don't know, the demo, whatever the next sales stage is, and I'm going, where's the content? Well, in the telco industry, they've got loads for every sales stage. Actually, there's nothing in here. So there, immediately, marketing can say, right, well, we don't have content there. We need to start creating something to help fill those gaps. And when you start showing that to people, they're like, wow.
So you're almost identifying the stage that you lose people as well. So you're almost saying that there could be essentially a gap here in your content.
Yep.
Because that's the point you're losing them. And that's what Bigtincan does.
Yeah, and you can even track back to all the closed lost deals that you've lost. Why did we lose that? Well, see, there's other variables outside of the platform, right? But there is ways and means that we can use the system to collect that information and say, well, you lost this amount of deals because there's there's no content here. So actually, if you go back through that, and let's say you had content that filled that role and your close rate was at 30% or whatever it might be, 10%, you would have had X amount of dollar in, of revenue on top.
Yeah.
I'm now thinking, how can I do that from a manual perspective? I'm going to be reviewing my data. I'm going to be reviewing my CRM going, wow, okay, that's where I'm losing people. What content am I not distributing at that point? Why is it not resonating? I may even call people up and say, what content would have made it different for you? What would you need to see at that point to obviously change your mind? I think, but obviously having a piece of technology doing it for you, telling you that's, I didn't know that.
Taps into what you just said, actually taps into the last kind of point, which is obviously productivity. So how valuable is it within the area of productivity?
Your productivity goes through the roof when you start using an enablement tool. I remember, like, even before I joined Bigtincan, it was very much send this piece of content out via an email, go into the CRM, update the CRM. What did I say? I can't remember. What did I send? Oh, have a look over here. I'm slowing down, right? It's becoming too much of a manual process. Imagine you're able to send the email that was in the body of the email, the content, who it was to. You can associate it to an opportunity in your CRM if it's there. If it's not, it will go against the lead, and it automatically updates the CRM for you. So like when I'm sending out content to any of my prospects, it's always from the solution because I don't have to go and update the CRM. And then as a manager, I can run a report inside of the CRM and say, oh, okay, well, Jack is in these opportunities. He sent this content. Okay, well, he's got this in commit. Well, actually, why is that in commit? They're not opened up the content. They're not engaging. That needs to get out. So as me forecasting, the system like an enablement tool can help me forecast better.
And qualify out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or, Eva's got this amount of pipeline. It's not in commit yet. It's in best case. Well, they're all engaged. They're reading everything that she sends to them. It's all being tracked back to the CRM. And I can say, well, maybe these are a bit more hotter than we actually think they are.
Yeah.
And the best thing about it, to align sales and marketing about this whole topic, is then marketing can go in there and go, oh wow, we just won that manufacturing company, and here's all the content that Eva sent to them or Jack sent to them, and we can now take that content and build on it.
Just insane, isn't it?
So it's now sales and marketing are starting to work together, because then all of a sudden, oh Adam, there's a new piece of content that's come in.
Yeah.
Use this for a manufacturing company that you're speaking to a marketing director.
Yeah. So it's like that instant gratification. You don't
It's
need the email
full
from the
circle.
sales team to say, oh, really well done, this bit of content, it helped with this deal. They can just go in there and see it.
They don't even have to speak to me. I know they like speaking to me. But yeah.
I'm like, I sit here daily, and obviously I've reviewed pieces of technology when I think it sounds interesting. I never show intent necessarily, and that's a problem a lot of companies are doing. I'm one of their 20 prospects before they close one. But I always sit there and think, hearing what we've just shared about Bigtincan, it makes me scared to invest in a piece of technology that I could afford for then something absolutely unbelievable to come in. It's almost, you start to think, what's next? What next is someone going to think of that can then almost then you're in a position where, oh crap, I've got an old piece of technology, and that's now hindering me because there's this new piece of technology that my competitors now got, and I'm missing out on this insight. And I know that companies do advance themselves, invest heavily in that. I guess that investigation period of what's next, and they're constantly wanting to invest in that kind of recon stuff. But it makes me slightly nervous. We're always trying to advance our processes, our strategy, but through technology as well. But then it's almost like you get a bit nervous investing in a piece of technology to get to the next stage, and then a new piece come in, and then you've got to invest in that. And
sure, it's a common objection that you hear.
Well, the thing is, it's then a case of, it's not a case I'm selling you this piece of software. I'm trying to build a relationship with you. And we're not talking of like, here's a piece of software, see you in 12 months. It's like, here's a roadmap. This is where we're going. You're coming with us on that journey.
That's good.
And this is where we see the technology going. And this is where we see the industry going. So you're now at a stage now where it's like, we've got this CRM integration. Well, what's next? I'll tell you what's next. Recommended content. Let's move your C players up into B players. You're going to get that. That's for you. And move those B players up into A players, because the system is telling them what content they should use in the sales center without even thinking. And I appreciate what you're saying. It's like, do we invest into that?
Obviously, Bigtincan can provide a platform for businesses that can, turn over millions, right? And it's a case of that for the smaller companies, because we get a lot of feedback from some big companies as well on these insights sessions. But I think it's important for us to know as well, as if we invest in something smaller that don't have them roadmaps, because that's brilliant for me. I think that's second.
It's blowing your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, second to none content. Yeah, I am a bit mind blown today. I feel like I've learned before I'm sharing this podcast, but I feel like having that roadmap, whereas the smaller companies that have the smaller technology will not have that roadmap.
No, they won't. But I guess it's then for you to do your due diligence and finding out, getting to know the people. Like for me, if I could, the way I position some of the way that some of the products that Bigtincan can offer, and by the way, it is for everybody. Like you don't have to be a 100 million, 1 billion Elon Musk company to turn over to use a software. Most people can, will be able to use it. But the way I think about it is, just a little pitch there. Come see me at the end of the month. No, I'm joking.
Malcolm would have my.
I've got I got a recruitment discount. I'm joking. No, but I think when you talk about companies that don't have that roadmap, okay, well, if they don't have the roadmap, how closely can I get to the owners of the business? Are they one of those closed companies that don't allow you to connect with the CEO, don't ever pass you their phone number and say have a chat? For us, it's very much about that relationship building. So if you don't have something today, talk to the management, open the door up, jump on a call. I know you do it. Get on a call with a customer. You get access to everybody. And if you're sat over talking to a company that isn't going to put their neck on the line and say, look, we want to partner with you. It's all about partnerships.
Yeah.
That you can't just flog software anymore.
No.
Because people just won't buy it.
As
and
we refer to on most
Yeah.
podcasts. Yeah.
It is. It's all about relationships, and you see it so much on LinkedIn. People talking about relationships, and I think if you can't build that with your customers and prospects, then you're in for a tough gig.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
yeah, maybe catch me next year, because Malcolm's already got me nuts.
yeah.
I did see that, because I was watching a video, I think it's 1 minute 30 on your website, and I think it says that you can kind of almost mold the tool around your requirements. So essentially what you're saying is it is not one size fits all. It is very much malleable to your requirements, which I think is important to get out there.
Yeah, because here's the problem with a lot of companies. They have what we call a cookie cutter approach. Now, for a piece of software that fits Joe's business isn't going to fit your business. The same technology isn't going to work for the company across the road or your competitor, right? Your direct competitor. It's not going to work for them. So the way we approach it is, well, we mold it around you. Rather than you fitting into our box, we'll build a box around you as a company, because your requirements and use cases are completely different. And if you're going out there and going, oh yeah, I'll have that piece of software that is the same version, same look-alike as everybody else's, your adoption levels are going to potentially be hindered, and people won't want to use it. And it might even fit the use cases in 6 months' time, because as you mentioned earlier, the businesses evolve, right?
Yeah.
But if you can involve a piece of technology with the business, well, the customer's going to be happier, and they're going to be happy to renew.
Sure.
Right? So, and this is the issue, that a lot of companies right now just don't. They're like, here's software, see you later, bye.
Yeah.
How much shelf life do you think they've got left?
World's changing all the time, right? So it could be, I wouldn't want to put a number on it or a timeline, but those type of companies, if they don't evolve with the way that the market goes and don't listen to the markets that they're in, they're just going to be a dinosaur, unfortunately. We've seen it time and time in telemarketing agencies have gone, right? They didn't evolve with the time.
And that's just even strategy. That's not even necessarily to do with technology.
No, it's not. It's the people everyone needs to work together. Sales and marketing alignment, right? But also it's business alignment. If everybody needs to evolve together, it just won't work out, unfortunately. So that's my sort of opinion on software. But like you meant, in that video it says like, let's build it around you. If you can't work with a company that just goes, okay, here's one solution and it fits everybody. If you're working with Coca-Cola and then next minute you're working with a technology company, are they the same company? No. Do they sell the same way? No. So how does the software fit both businesses? Right, in some cases it will. For those that are probably going, Adam, shut up, of course it will. But in most cases it won't. Unfortunately, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. I have one final question for you, Adam, actually. So a lot of what we've spoken about today has kind of been hypothetical scenarios with X business and Y business. Yeah. What examples do you have of a real success story with Bigtincan personally?
Well, I don't know if I can drop all of them, but let's say they're a medical device company. They're growing rapidly, could IPO in the next coming months. Their route to market was hindered because they couldn't get the right training material and marketing material to all of their partners. So they were selling via partners as their go-to-market, as they were building their sales team. For them, it was a struggle. It was a slow process. Everything had to be updated manually. They had 500 partners, so that's a lot of manual process. We showed them how Bigtincan can help enforce their partners, empower them. The marketing person come in and update one deck for 500 people, like that. And seeing them now grow, they have over 2,000 partners, 300 salespeople internally using the system. They've reduced their onboarding time from 9 months down to 3. Their content they're using ROI on the content now, so they can attribute every single piece of content they've got. And that was a post I put up on LinkedIn only recently. Hearing the feedback that they've got, I was just sat there like, you sit there sometimes, you just smile on your face. You're like, wow, that's impressive.
It actually works.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't go that far, but it's like, but there's more and more businesses that are just seeing the success from these tools. And listening to us, listening to our customers, because we get our customers to speak to our prospects to say, look, this does work, or this will help you. For example, there's a manufacturing company, a very large one. This will be the last one I say, but they had 500 sellers in Italy. Very old school way of selling. It was paper, print, right? They were printing €500,000 a year on brochures because they had over 1,000 different products that they could sell. So there's a lot of products, a lot of brochures, and for a lot of salespeople. Well, we saved them €500,000 a year by putting all the paper content into Bigtincan. So immediately they saw that money coming back into the business, and they were pushing those brochures out through the app. And they had what you would call a aging sales force that wasn't cool with technology. But because it was so simple to use and everything was there, they didn't have to phone up marketing anymore. It was right there in front of them. So I'd say like just hearing the cost saving on print, and also environmental costs as well, saving the trees. That's great.
I think you probably going to ask me to say something in the end, but I think the most important thing I'm getting from this, and I think that our audience should get from this, is the fact that technology helps provide the insight as to what content is helping you sell. But also it helps align the sales and marketing to actually distribute that content to the salespeople, allow salespeople to find it better, and that is all things as salespeople, all three of us can agree, we have had problems with. We've been in scenarios where we needed to relate to a client there and then on the spot. Haven't been able to do it. Why? One, because there wasn't that communication between the teams. Two, we didn't have the technology to find that content straight away. And even if your content is slim because you don't offer multiple products or multiple services, it's still relevant to understand, what content is actually working. Whether you have to do that manually to work that out or not at the moment, technology can help. Maybe it's worth speaking to Adam. Who knows?
Maybe it is. You are right though, Joe. I was going to quickly hand things over to you as I did last week, and I just wanted to see if there's any specific questions you had or anything that you wanted to delve into.
No, I don't think I do. I think that it's important that we are, when we're doing these, to mention that it is all about pushing free advice. It's not lead capture for us. And it'd be great to get some feedback, actually. So if you are watching these, because I know a few people I've mentioned on my discovery calls, give some feedback. It'd be great to hear. But also, I think it'd be good for you. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, I guess feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. Adam Weeks 1, I think it is. I've shortened my URL down. And but yeah, Adam Weeks, adam.weeks@bigtincan.com. That's ES on the end. But again, if you want to hear more about how enablement helps partner enablement, revenue enablement, sales enablement, but we're happy to let you know. It doesn't work for everybody, I'll be honest. So, we'll tell you how it can help, and if it aligns, great. If it doesn't, point you in somewhere else's direction.
No corny sales pitch then? No. Not like the old days then?
That's not me anymore.
Very nice. Nice one, guys. Unbelievable episode. And Adam,
great.
Thanks for the unique insights.
Thanks.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for
having
me.
Guys. Thanks.
Cheers.